7 months after I helped my friend escape her abusive ex, a stranger in a black jacket started asking neighbors about me. When I confronted him, he said Kyle hired me to find her, and that's when I called her. But her reply made my blood run cold. He's already here. When Cassandra's name lit up my screen, my hands were already shaking from what my neighbor had told me in the hallway. But nothing prepared me for the moment I pulled back the curtain in my living room and saw him, black jacket, hands in his pockets, standing by the dumpsters like he was waiting for a delivery. Except his eyes weren't drifting or scanning. They were locked on my building, on my window. I didn't think. I just went downstairs. The cold air hit me hard when I pushed open the side door, but he didn't even flinch as I walked straight toward him. He was taller than I expected, mid-30s maybe, with a face that looked like it forgot how to show emotion. No anger, no fear, just an eerie calm that made my skin crawl. "You've been looking for me," I said. "What do you want?" He didn't posture, didn't step closer, didn't even bother pretending he wasn't exactly who he looked like. "I'm looking for a woman," he said. Mid-20s, short dark hair, hummingbird tattoo on her left shoulder. Her ex-boyfriend Kyle hired me to find her. "I think you know where she is." Every instinct told me to lie. But my brain was rattling too hard, and the only thing I could think about was Annette showing up at my door 7 months ago with a split lip and a bruise swelling up along her cheekbone. Barefoot, holding a backpack like it was a life preserver, I swallowed. "I don't know anything." He didn't argue, he just nodded like he had expected the denial. "I'll be back tomorrow," he said. "You think about it?" Then he walked away, not hurried, not threatening, like someone clocking out of a shift. The second he was out of sight, I sprinted upstairs, grabbed the burner phone from the drawer under my sink, the one only Annette had the number to, and called her. It rang twice. She answered, whispering, "Hey, why are you calling on this?" "Annette, listen to me," I said, pacing the living room so hard the floor creaked. "He found me, a guy Kyle hired. He's been asking around. He knows what you look like. He stood outside my building watching it." Silence. "You need to pack tonight," I said. "Do not wait for morning, you have to run again." More silence. Long enough I started thinking the connection dropped. Then she inhaled sharply, and when she spoke, her voice wasn't scared the way I expected. It sounded heavy, like she'd been carrying something so big she could barely breathe under it. "I can't run," she said quietly. "Annette, he's coming. I don't know how far behind he is, but he's close. You got out once. You can do it again. I'll help you." "I can't," she repeated, firmer this time. "Because I'm not alone anymore." My stomach twisted. "What does that mean?" Another breath. A shaky one this time. "There's something I didn't tell you," she said. "Something I've been keeping from everyone. It's why I left the way I did. Why I couldn't stay in one place. Why Kyle's been losing his mind trying to find me." "Annette, I'm not just running from him," she said. "I'm hiding something he thinks belongs to him." The line went dead. I stood in my silent apartment with the phone still pressed to my ear, hearing nothing but my own pulse pounding, trying to process her last sentence. "Something he thinks belongs to him. Not someone. Something." Before I could call back, before I could even move, there was a knock at my door, slow, deliberate, echoing through the whole apartment like a warning. I froze. The knock came again. The knock kept echoing in my head even after it stopped. I didn't open the door. I didn't move. I just stood there with my hand hovering over the deadbolt like touching it would make this whole thing detonate. Whoever it was, and I still don't know if it was him, I waited until the hall went quiet again, then slid down to the floor and forced myself to breathe. That was the same way Annette looked the night she showed up at my door last year, like every breath cost her something. I met her in Duluth, back when we were both working part-time at a bakery off Superior Street. She had this dry, quiet way of talking, like she never wanted to take up more space than she had to. I didn't know much about her life back then, except that she kept to herself and always wore long sleeves, even in the heat. It wasn't until the first time Kyle came by the bakery that I realized something was wrong. He didn't look dangerous at first, just one of those guys who stands too close and smiles a little too tightly. But the way she stiffened when she saw him walk in, it was like someone had plugged her into an electric socket. She quit the next week. No explanation. Months passed before I saw her again. This time at a grocery store parking lot in mid-January, coatless in the cold, fumbling with a bruise on her wrist. She pretended she didn't hear me when I called her name. I should have pushed harder, should have followed her, should have done something. But I let her walk away. The second time I saw her, really saw her, was 7 months ago. It was 1:04 a.m. I remember the numbers glowing on my stove clock when the pounding on my door woke me up. I thought it was a break-in at first, the way it shook the whole frame. But when I opened it, there she was. Mascara smeared down her cheek. Hair tangled, hoodie half-zipped, a black eye already blooming. She looked so scared it made my stomach drop. "Please," she whispered. I didn't know where else to go. I didn't ask questions. I didn't need to. She gave me the short version in gasps. Kyle had snapped again, worse than the last time, and this time she didn't wait for him to fall asleep. She grabbed her backpack and bolted barefoot into the street. I gave her what I had, about $1,200 in cash, left over from a summer job I'd been saving for a car. I drove her to the bus station on Superior Street. She kept looking over her shoulder in the backseat like she expected his car to come flying around the corner any second. Before she boarded, she hugged me. Not a soft hug, a desperate one. "I'm gonna start over somewhere safe," she whispered. "Somewhere he'll never think to look." I believed her. I watched her disappear through the bus doors and didn't hear from her for 5 months. Not until a package showed up in my mailbox with no return address, just a burner phone and a note that said, "For emergencies only." Thank you. She didn't tell me where she'd gone. I didn't ask. I figured the less I knew, the safer she was. But now, with some hired tracker knocking on doors, asking which apartment was mine, describing me down to my hair color, it hit me how stupid that had been. How blind. Annette wasn't just hiding from a violent ex. She was hiding something he wanted back. And whatever it was, she trusted only me to know she had it. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the floor with my back against the couch, lights off, every shadow in my apartment looking like it was about to move. Around 4 a.m., I finally forced myself up and locked every window, checked the peephole twice, and pushed a chair under the front doorknob like that would actually stop someone like him. But fear has a way of making even stupid precautions feel necessary. By sunrise, the only thing louder than my nerves was the question burning in my chest. What the hell did Annette take? I didn't have answers, only instincts. And mine were screaming that Kyle sending someone to track her down meant this wasn't about reconciliation or control anymore. It was bigger, darker, more deliberate. I made coffee I didn't drink. I paced. I kept checking the alley. He wasn't there that morning, but the absence wasn't comforting. It felt purposeful. Like he was giving me room to panic. Like he knew I'd eventually break. But I wasn't the same person I'd been 7 months ago, driving Annette to the bus station with a lump in my throat and hope that she'd finally be safe. I'd spent those months working double shifts at the hospital, picking up every overtime hour I could, trying to save for the car I still hadn't bought. I'd grown sharper, more protective, more aware of how quickly violence can reshape a life. I'd watched too many patients come in with injuries that matched Annette's old ones. Too many whispered stories about partners who didn't let go. I wasn't naive anymore. So I started doing what fear had been telling me not to. I prepared. First, I called Cassandra. Her voice cracked when she realized the man she saw at CVS wasn't some random creeper. "He just stood there," she said. "Didn't look at his phone, didn't talk to anyone, just watched the store entrance, like he was studying it." That made something cold settle in my stomach. Next, I drove to the library in West Duluth because I assumed there'd be less chance of security cameras picking up my plates. I logged into a computer and searched Kyle's full name, half expecting nothing but an old Facebook profile. Instead, I found an arrest record, 6 years old, possession, a bar fight, and then one charge that made my throat close. Receiving stolen property. A pattern, not a one-time thing. I printed what I could, shoved it into my bag, and left before anyone could look too long at me. Back in my apartment, I tried calling Annette again. Straight to voicemail. I texted her, "Please, tell me what you meant. What do you have that he wants? I need to know how dangerous this is." No response. Hour after hour passed. Every sound outside my door felt amplified, footsteps, elevator dings, someone dropping keys. I kept imagining him standing out there again, not knocking this time, just waiting for me to slip up. By late afternoon, something in me cracked open. Not fear, not panic, but a kind of hard-edged determination I didn't fully recognize. If Annette wouldn't tell me what she'd taken, I would find out myself. Whatever this was, I wasn't going to sit back and let Kyle's hired psycho corner me. I started calling shelters, hospitals, old coworkers, any place Annette might have passed through after fleeing. Most people had nothing. A few hesitated too long before saying they didn't know her. And that hesitation told me there was more. A trail I hadn't seen. By nightfall, I felt like I was balancing on a wire stretched over an abyss. One wrong step and everything would collapse. Then my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. She's not who you think she is. And neither is he. Before I could react, another message followed. You're in the middle of something that started long before she knocked on your door. My chest tightened. Then a third message. If you want the truth, meet me tomorrow. Noon, Leicester Park. Come alone. My hands trembled as I stared at the screen, knowing this was the moment everything started to tilt. I didn't go to work the next morning. I didn't even bother calling in. I just sat at my kitchen table staring at that message like it was some kind of doorway I wasn't ready to step through. She's not who you think she is. The words kept looping in my head, twisting everything I thought I knew about Annette into something sharp. By 11:30 a.m., I was already driving toward Leicester Park. The sky hung low and gray, the kind of heavy Duluth weather that makes everything feel quieter than it should be. I parked by the trail entrance, scanned the lot twice, then walked slowly, hands buried in my jacket pockets even though it wasn't that cold. The air felt wrong, too still. I stepped past the playground and toward the tree line, heart hammering. Noon hit, and for a second I thought maybe no one would show. Maybe this was a setup. Maybe he'd step out from behind a tree and a woman's voice broke through the silence. You came! I turned. She was standing near the creek, hood up, sunglasses on even though the sun was nowhere to be found. Something about her posture, stiff, guarded, made my skin prickle. And then she pushed her hood back. It was Annette. Not exhausted, not bloody, not shaking. She looked steady, alert, like someone who had been waiting for this. My mouth went dry. What the hell are you doing here? I know what you thought, she said. And I'm sorry, I couldn't risk telling you everything on the phone. You said you were hiding something Kyle thinks belongs to him. Her jaw tightened. I am. I didn't expect what came next. She reached into her coat, pulled out a small zippered pouch, black canvas about the size of a paperback, and held it like it weighed 100 pounds. This is what he wants, she said. What's in it? Evidence. The word hung in the cold air. Evidence of what? I asked. She hesitated, scanning the tree line before answering. Kyle's been dealing for years, nothing small. He moves product between Duluth and the cities. He launders the cash through a guy who owns a car wash in Cloquet. It's organized, careful, hidden, but he got sloppy last winter and he didn't know I saw everything. The deliveries, the drop-offs, the cash, my pulse thudded. I started taking photos, she said. Recording conversations, documenting everything. I thought if I had proof I could leave safely, that if he came after me I'd have leverage. Jesus, Annette. I know, she swallowed. It was stupid, but I didn't have anyone else. So you stole all that from him, that's why he hired someone, she nodded. He thinks the pouch is the only copy. He doesn't know I already sent a backup to someone. Who? I asked. Her eyes lifted to mine, and for the first time since I'd known her, there was something cold behind them. Not cruel, just resolute. You, my breath caught. What are you talking about? That package I sent you 5 months ago. The one with the burner phone, her voice dropped. There was a flash drive taped inside the lining of the box. Hidden, I couldn't risk telling you, it would have made you a target. I needed you not to know. My stomach flipped violently. Annette, I threw the box away, I didn't know. I figured you might, that's why I sent a second copy too. My knees felt unsteady. To where? Before she could answer, a twig snapped behind us. We both spun. The man in the black jacket stepped out from behind a cluster of trees like he'd been there the whole time, watching. His voice was calm, almost polite. Good, you're both here. Annette grabbed my arm hard. Run, but he shook his head slowly. No, he said. You don't understand, I'm not here to bring her back. He took one more step forward. I'm here because Kyle's been lying to both of you. For a long second, none of us moved. The creek kept rushing behind us, steady and uncaring, while everything in me braced for impact. The man in the black jacket, this ghost who had been shadowing my building, just stood there with his hands out slightly, palms visible like he wanted us to see he wasn't reaching for a weapon. Annette didn't buy it. I felt her grip on my arm tighten. What do you mean he lied? She said. He didn't look at her, he looked at me. Kyle didn't hire me to bring her back, he said calmly. He hired me to find out who she talked to, who she sent the evidence to. He thinks you're the weak link. My stomach twisted. And are you here to drag me to him? No, he said. I'm not working for him anymore. Annette let out a bitter laugh. Right, you just decided to grow a conscience. He didn't blink. I decided I don't like loose ends. Kyle thinks he's untouchable. He's not. And he's sloppy enough that he's going to pull both of you under with him. His gaze flicked between us. Unless you do something smarter than running. Annette stepped between us, her voice sharp. Why should we trust you? You shouldn't, he said. But you should listen. Something in the way he said it, flat, measured, with no attempt to manipulate, sent a chill through me. He wasn't trying to convince us. He was stating reality. I crossed my arms to keep my hands from shaking. Fine, talk, he nodded once. Kyle's crew is fracturing. He's paranoid. He thinks one of his partners is planning to flip. That panic is why he's desperate, why he sent me, why he's spiraling. He paused. That pouch you're holding, it's not just evidence of what he did. It's evidence of who else he's tied to, names he's been careful not to say out loud. Annette's face went pale. He continued, if you run again, he'll chase. If you hide the evidence, he'll keep digging. If you try to wait him out, he'll escalate. Then what? I asked, my voice hollow. Then you end it, he said simply. You expose him. You take away the one thing that keeps him dangerous, his secrecy. A heavy silence fell between us. Annette swallowed hard, turning to me. I never wanted you dragged into this. Well, I said quietly, here I am. The man took another step back, as if signaling he was done. You have about a week before he realizes I'm gone, maybe less, decide fast. He turned like he was leaving, then paused. If you go after him, don't half-ass it. He'll smell fear a mile away. His eyes locked on mine. And don't trust anyone you haven't known for longer than a year. He's got eyes everywhere. Then he disappeared into the trees as silently as he'd arrived. Annette let the pouch fall to her side and exhaled shakily. We can't just go to the police. If these files name who I think they name, they'll bury it, or bury us. So we expose him ourselves, I said. The words surprised me, not because they felt reckless, but because they felt inevitable. Annette stared at me, searching my face. You don't have to do this. Yes, I said. I do. Something hardened in her expression, resolve, fear, loyalty all tangled together. Okay, she whispered. Then we plan, we do this clean, we hit him where it hurts. We walked back toward the parking lot with a single, shared understanding settling between us. This wasn't survival anymore. This was retaliation. By the time we reached my car, the outline of a plan had already begun to form, ugly, risky, but possible. Tomorrow, we'd start gathering leverage. The next day, we'd cut off his escape routes. And after that, we'd burn his whole operation to the ground. We spent the next 48 hours moving like ghosts through Duluth, never the same route twice, never parking in the same place for more than a few minutes. Annette stayed in my apartment with the blinds closed while I ran errands that didn't look like errands. Cash purchases, disposable drives, prepaid envelopes. Every step felt like we were stitching together a trap out of thin thread. By the third night, we finally had something that looked like a strategy. We'd release the evidence in 3 waves. Anonymously to a journalist in Minneapolis, then to a federal tip line, then to a public dump that would hit every major social feed at once. Redundancy on redundancy. No single point of failure. We just needed one thing first, confirmation that the files in the pouch matched the backups, that nothing had been tampered with. So we drove to a rundown Airbnb on the edge of Hermantown, a place with no cameras, a lockbox entry, and furniture so old it still smelled like 1996. Safe enough for a few hours. Annette set the pouch on the wobbly kitchen table. She unzipped it slowly, almost reverently, like she was opening a coffin. Once we plug this in, there's no going back, she murmured. I nodded. Let's just make sure we know what we're dealing with. She clicked open the USB drive. Dozens of folders. Photos, recordings, text files, spreadsheets. It was more organized than I expected, time-stamped, labeled, cross-referenced. Annette had been documenting him longer than she'd ever admitted. Jesus, I whispered. This is enough to bury him 5 times over. That's the idea, she said. She clicked a video file. The footage shook for a second, before stabilizing on a dim warehouse interior. Kyle stood in the center, counting cash with another man I didn't recognize. Their voices were muffled but clear enough. Quantities, routes, shipments, schedules. All spoken casually, like planning a grocery run. "This is gold," I said. Annette didn't answer. She was staring at the screen with a look I couldn't place, something between dread and certainty. "Keep watching," she said. A minute later, 2 more men walked into frame. Then another. My heart dropped. It wasn't just Kyle. It was bigger, much bigger. And then the camera tilted slightly as someone grabbed it. The angle shifted to a grainy view of the floor. A voice, not Kyle's, snapped, "Is she still recording?" Annette paused the video. "That was the night I left," she said softly. "He figured out I'd been filming. I barely made it out." I exhaled. "This is enough. We can use all of this." But Annette didn't close the file. She opened another, then another, pages of text. More photos, bank transfers, receipts. Some of it didn't even involve Kyle, or drugs, or money, property deeds, legal documents, photos of people I'd never seen before. My chest tightened. "What is all this?" Annette didn't look at me. "I didn't want to drag you into this part." "What part?" She clicked one more folder. My name was on it. My breath caught like a punch. Inside were photos of me, at work, leaving my apartment, going to the grocery store. Notes about my schedule, my habits, even the make and model of my car. "What the hell is this?" I whispered. Annette's voice shook. "I didn't take those, Kyle did." I stared at her. "Why would he be following me?" She hesitated, too long. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Something in the room shifted, heavy, suffocating. "Annette, what aren't you telling me?" She finally looked at me, tears gathering but not falling. "I wasn't the only one he was using," she said. "You were part of it too. You just never knew." Before I could speak, the front window exploded inward, glass shattering across the room. A voice from outside yelled, "Move!" Annette shoved me to the floor as boots pounded toward the door. And I realized, with a cold certainty that hollowed me out, the trap we thought we were building, we were already inside it. The door didn't just crack, it blew inward like someone had kicked it with their entire body weight behind it. Annette dragged me across the linoleum, as shards of glass rained around us. My ears rang, my vision blurred, and for a moment all I could process was the violent thud of boots crossing the threshold. "Stop!" a man barked. "Hands where I can see them." I couldn't see his face through the dust and shattered blinds, but I recognized that voice. The man in the black jacket, the tracker. Except this time he wasn't calm. He wasn't composed. He was shouting like the whole building was on fire. Annette scrambled up first, hands raised. I followed, my knees shaking under me. The man waved us back from the window with quick, sharp movements. "We have to go," he said. "Right now, both of you." Annette shook her head hard. "No, no, this is my mess. You don't get to control." "I'm not controlling anything," he snapped. "I'm saving your lives. Kyle's guys are 3 minutes behind me." My stomach lurched. Why now? Why the hell are they coming? He looked at me then, really looked at me, and something passed over his face. Recognition, regret, maybe both. "You still don't get it," he said quietly. "He isn't trying to pull Annette back into his cage." His eyes stayed locked on mine. "He's trying to erase you." The room seemed to tilt. "What?" I whispered. Annette stepped closer to me, shaking her head. "Don't listen to him," but he cut her off. "No, she deserves to know. You involved her without her consent. You hid everything from her. You put a target on her back because you couldn't walk away." Annette's breath hitched. "I had to." "No," he said, his voice lowering into something cold. "You chose to." I stared between them. "What the hell is going on?" He pointed at the laptop still open on the table, the folder with my name on it glowing like an accusation. "Kyle wasn't following you because you helped her escape," he said. "He was following you because you're leverage." Annette squeezed her eyes shut. The man continued, mercilessly steady. "Kyle didn't trust Annette, not at the end. He thought she'd already told someone, so he picked the person closest to her, someone she'd protect, someone she'd keep in the dark so they couldn't accidentally spill anything." My throat tightened. I'm saying," he replied, "that he kept tabs on you for almost a year, and when Annette ran, he assumed the evidence went to you." My legs felt numb, but it didn't. "That didn't matter," he said. "He built the story in his head, and once Kyle believes something, it becomes true to him." Annette finally spoke, her voice small and breaking. "I was trying to protect you. I didn't want you dragged into any of this." "You dragged her in the moment you stayed," the man shot back. "The moment you recorded all of this and didn't disappear deep enough." Annette flinched like he'd slapped her. I felt something slow and sick spread through me. So, all of this, I said. The man outside CVS, the knock on my door, him going apartment to apartment. All of it, he said, was him closing in on the person he believed betrayed him. Me, he nodded once. Annette wiped her face with her sleeve. I was going to tell you, You didn't want to lose her, the man said. You needed her, she was your anchor, and Kyle knew it. Annette froze. The man's voice dropped into a darker, sharper register. And that's why Kyle wants her gone. Not because she ran, not because she stole evidence. His eyes pinned her in place. But because she chose you. For a moment, everything in the room went still, like the truth itself had weight and we were all suffocating under it. Cassandra once told me some truths feel like knives when they finally land. This one felt like a blade made of ice. Annette looked at me, not with guilt, not with anger, but with something rower. Fear that this was the moment I'd finally step back from her. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. Outside, engines roared up the gravel drive. The man snapped into motion. Decision time, right now. He grabbed my arm. Annette grabbed the pouch. And for the first time since the night, she showed up at my door barefoot and bruised. I had no idea whether she was the victim in this story, or the reason it started at all. The man in the black jacket shoved us out the back door of the airbim just as two trucks screeched into the gravel drive out front. I heard doors slam, voices yelling, the unmistakable metallic click of someone chambering around. The air tasted like adrenaline and cold earth as we sprinted into the tree line, branches snapping under our feet. Keep moving, he said. They won't fire unless they're sure you have the pouch. Annette clutched it to her chest like it was fused to her. I kept close behind her, lungs burning, legs shaking. The woods thinned, opening to an old service road. He led us to a rusted-out sedan hidden under pine boughs. He ripped the branches aside. Get in, he ordered. Annette slid into the back. I climbed into the passenger seat, hands trembling so hard I could barely get the door shut. As soon as we were down the road, my brain finally caught up with what was happening. We can't outrun them forever, I said. We won't, he replied. We're ending it. His tone wasn't dramatic, it was final. Annette leaned forward from the backseat. The data drops won't matter, he cut in. Kyle already knows you haven't sent anything yet. He's betting you'll panic. We're using that. I turned toward him. Using it how? He glanced at me only once. We're going to bury him in real time. The plan came together in sharp, brutal pieces. We drove straight into Duluth, to the rooftop garage across from the courthouse. Public, open sightlines, plenty of cameras. Not somewhere Kyle would dare start a shootout. The man positioned the car to face the entrance ramp. Call him, he told Annette. Put it on speaker. My heart thudded as she dialed. Kyle picked up instantly. Where the hell are you? He snarled. Annette's voice was trembling but steady. If you want the evidence, you come to me, alone. You think you can bargain. You have 10 minutes, she said. If I don't see you by then, I upload everything live. She hung up. I looked at her. He's going to kill you. Annette didn't flinch. Not if we do this right. The man placed a small device on the dashboard, a signal relay, something I didn't understand, but its blinking light told me it mattered. Record everything, he said. Angle your phone at him the second he arrives. Why? I asked. Because Kyle's not just paranoid, he likes control. He won't be able to resist talking, explaining, gloating. Men like him always confess when they think they're about to win. The minutes felt like wet sand sliding down my spine. Then a black SUV rolled into view. Kyle stepped out alone. His face was calm, almost serene. He walked toward us with that same detached confidence I'd seen in the man in the black jacket. Annette opened the car door and stepped out. I followed. The man stayed behind the wheel, engine running. Kyle stopped 10 feet away. You should have stayed quiet, he said to her. You always had a way of making things harder than they needed to be. Annette didn't respond. His eyes slid to me. A slow, cruel smile formed. And you, always hovering. Always trying to save someone who didn't want saving. You think she told you the truth. You think she didn't use you the second she needed a place to hide. Annette inhaled sharply but didn't look away. Kyle chuckled. That's the thing about people like her. They cling to whoever keeps them afloat, doesn't matter who drowns because of it. I lifted my phone higher, recording everything, he noticed. Go ahead, he said. It won't matter. Actually, the man in the black jacket said behind him, stepping out of the car at last, it matters a lot. Kyle spun. He didn't get another word out. The man held up a second device, the mate to the relay on the dashboard. Everything you just said, he told Kyle, was broadcast to 3 separate servers. Kyle went rigid. And, he added, a federal agent you stiffed on a payout 2 years ago is listening right now. For the first time, panic cracked through Kyle's expression. Annette took a step forward, voice steady. It's over. Kyle lunged toward her. The man tackled him before he got close. In seconds, Kyle was face down on the concrete with zip ties cinched around his wrists, screaming threats that bounced off the garage walls. Sirens wailed in the distance. Annette sank to her knees. I knelt beside her. She was shaking, but for the first time, not from fear, from release. Kyle was arrested on 37 charges. More came later. The man in the black jacket disappeared before detectives could question him. No name. No address. No trail. Annette didn't leave town. Not this time. We don't talk about what she said on that rooftop, the part where she admitted she stayed because she didn't know how to exist without someone anchoring her. She's working on it now. Therapy, space, a life without shadows. As for me, I changed my locks, bought the car I'd spent years saving for, and learned something quiet but permanent. You don't know the people you'd burn your life down to save. Not really. But you can choose what you build from the ashes. And this time, I built something that didn't require running.